Welcome to the Align and Abide podcast with Dr. Kim Tran, where we help you achieve your greatest God-given potential. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey, it's Dr. Kim Tran, and this is Align and Abide podcast. We are so grateful to help you get to your God-given potential physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And today, this is why I'm so excited to have Hope Academy with me because, you know, in Minneapolis, we hear so many negative things about what is happening within our city. But what about if you actually brought light and hope into our own city? And when we talk about that, we actually have to give back into our own community, that we are looking to actually uplift and actually, you know, evangelize our own kids, our students, our families. Well, what if you didn't have to actually go to the next state? What if you could actually just go within Minneapolis alone? And this is what I love about Hope Academy. I actually found out about Hope Academy because many of you know Joanna, who is my office manager. You know, her kids were actually struggling with bullying in the Minneapolis public schools. And she knew that she wanted to ground her kids in a school that valued their worth because they knew their worth in Jesus, that she knew that she could ground them in a God-centered community. And this is where she introduced me to Hope Academy. And, you know, being able to sit there, I was there during your guys' Christmas program, which which I was like, ooh, okay. And she was like, you know, she loves it because the kids know I am such a big supporter of them. And I went to your guys' Christmas program. Very extended family, okay? The auntie. But, you know, what brought me to tears was watching how many of those kids were so proud. And, you know, you could tell how much they loved Jesus in their hearts because this program was in Spanish and English. And so this is why I'm so excited to have the Hope Academy recruitment team with me. And here's the thing, they're not just about filling seats, they're building futures. As passionate champions of Christian education in the heart of Minneapolis, they connect families to schools where faith, remarkable academics, and cultural dignity come together to transform lives. Get ready to hear from the powerhouse team behind one of the most mission-driven private Christian schools in our city, Hope Academy. And I know Miss Angela, Ruben, Josh, it is so great that you guys are here.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. We are excited to be here.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think we were just talking about this. There are so many struggles that parents are having right now. Mm-hmm. They are worried about their kids. Kids are dealing with depression, anxiety, suicide. These are some of the top things that I hear, you know, kids complaining about. I know we talked about, you know, Pastor Evangelist Joey Orlando, who is a youth evangelist. Mm-hmm. And that's like one of his big missions, which is why I connected him with you guys as well, because he knows that kids are struggling with, you know, depression, anxiety, suicide. And where do you guys feel like you helped them to conquer over those things?
I think what's beautiful about Hope Academy is that we wrap around families, not only the parents, but the children, the kids, the scholars. When students come to Hope Academy or when they are interested in hope, usually they're coming from Minneapolis public schools or they're coming from another school system where we've heard that they're in classrooms with sizes of 30 to 50 kids, and then there's one teacher. And so when you talk about a classroom where it's so big, there's not an opportunity to really connect with students. There's not an opportunity to really know students. And with that, a lot of times there's an opportunity for bullying to happen. There's an opportunity for anxiety to set in because you're not really able to learn. Hope Academy, our class sizes are around 14 to 1, 14 students to one teacher. On top of that, we usually have an education assistant in the classroom as well. And so the teachers get to know their students. And because they get to know their students, they can speak to the anxiety. They can speak to the depression that comes. They can speak to the issues because they have a real relationship with their students. Mm-hmm. And they care about their students. And they're not just people that care. They're people that are passionate about Christ who changes all things for all of us. And so because of that, I think Hope Academy is in a strong position on various levels, spiritually, educationally, parent relationships, and it's a beautiful place to be a part of, not only for us, but for the students as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know one of my families, I grew up, with this person back in a small town community. So we grew up in a place where we knew like all of the teachers knew our name. They knew everything about us. And so like to come here, she was dealing with the fact that her son was actually bullied in school, and like bullied to the point that the school didn't do anything about it, that they ended up feeling like they had to move out of state. And I know some families have gotten to that point. So where do you guys stand as far as, I know like Joanna's kids dealt with bullying, but now where can they turn to you guys and know that, you know what, you're going to change it around, you're going to make it different?
So when these things happen, which is unfortunate, we immediately address the issue. Okay, so this doesn't go swept under the carpet at all. The issue is at hand. We want to make sure that we bring in the parent, we bring in the students, and we address the issue immediately. Now, if it continues, there are some things, the steps there, but if it continues, unfortunately, sometimes whoever the individual, the scholar is that's bullying, may have to be dismissed. It's not a practice that we would, immediately just say, ask the student to go away. We want to be able to teach them. We want to be able to show them. We want to be able to define what it is that they did wrong so they fully understand, that they take ownership of that, acknowledging ownership, but also to correct the behavior.
Yeah. And I think that you both had mentioned before is that, the one thing that's special about what your guys do with the school is that you understand if a student is bullying, it's probably because they're already experiencing that at home.
Yeah.
And they're only going through repeating what they have learned. And so somebody else has to step in.
Right. So that's the great thing about our family ministry team. So family ministry is they form the relationships with those all families. And if there's an issue, if they see something that needs to be addressed immediately, they will contact the family and take care of the problem at hand.
Yeah. What do you guys find? I know that it's been really important for you. Just having a little bit of an insight. Not that I have any kids there because I don't have any kids yet. But speaking from auntie doctor status. But I know that you really, truly involve the family in that. There's times that you expect all the parents to show up, that you make sure that the family is involved with the students.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I also think it's really important that a big thing is that the staff can also relate to the students. So just speaking to the staff, there's people from all walks of life and who are from the city who can talk into those kinds of situations and also bring like Christ into the picture, which I think is always the biggest factor that changes. Another thing that really impacts the students is that they grow in the school together. I mean, it's K through 12. And they have deep connections with each other. A lot of them know each other, and the teachers and the parents get to build that relationship too. So I think it makes that not just feel like a school, but a community,
Yeah. And how many of your students actually stayed full time from kindergarten all the way through high school? Do you know that offhand?
That percentage, I would say, is pretty high. I'm going to say at least a good 87% of our students.
Well, coming up, we're going to be talking about more of, perhaps you're struggling with your kids, your grandkids that are struggling in school and are looking for some hope. You can actually turn to Hope Academy in Minneapolis. And if you are looking to transform your life or health, you can reach out. This is Dr. Kim Tran at drkimtran.com. That's drkimtran.com. Hey, it's Dr. Kim Tran, and, we want to bring back some hope to our community in the Twin Cities. I think there's so much focus this year on so much negativity that, as I have talked to you about so much before, is that we need to be the light for our community. We think that we need to go out and do missions abroad, but what if you actually just had to do missions right here? And that really starts from investing into our kids. And perhaps you've been a family that's been struggling with bullying, and it's nice to know we have a school like Hope Academy right in Minneapolis that says, hey, you know what? We see where you're at. We know where your struggles are. And I mean, I think about this. Like, I grew up in a home that was dealt with abusive alcoholism. I was beat up at home. I didn't know if I was coming home to an alcoholic father that day, what is, anger or whatever that was going to be for him. And I knew that there was a lot of other problems behind that. And I thank God for pulling me into church so much, but also thank God that I had so many teachers that were looking out for me. And I think we had talked about how invested your teachers actually are in their students. It's not just, hey, you can show up. You actually will show up at their home sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I even reflect on what you say, that students who come from those types of homes don't understand that those type of homes may not be normal because they don't have a village around them a lot of times. But at Hope Academy, they do. It's not just a teacher-student relationship, it's discipleship. And I think that a part of that is our teachers who visit the homes of students. They sit at the table, they break bread with parents. And they step into these situations. They step into a alcoholic father's home. They step into a crack addict mother's home, and they talk about the gospel and they talk about how their students doing in school, and they get to really get a holistic view of the students so that they can treat them better in the classroom.
Well, and I think it's important because sometimes what that student learns is just like, I learned a really bad way of communicating, even with my brothers, right? There were ways that we learned to degrade each other. We thought it was normal to be hurtful towards each other. And then you start realizing that's not actually a normal thing. And if we don't stop that in junior high, high school, elementary, they carry that on to adulthood and they still think that's normal to be treated that way. Or to treat others that way.
Well, we're trusting, of course, at Hope Academy that we model differently. We model differently. And so whatever, of course, the scholar is experiencing at home, we're hoping and believing that when they come to Hope Academy, that is just totally the opposite. There's compassion, there's love, care, there's peace, there's a great feeling of belonging. And again, love is a key thing. It's a 4-letter word, but it's powerful. And we want to make sure that each and every scholar that is there at Hope Academy, they do feel belonged and they do feel loved. Yeah,
absolutely. Because if they knew their worth in God, right? Then you don't feel the need to bring down other people too. And I know that it's really important at your guys' school to actually go through and put God into their everyday life.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more about how you do that?
Yeah, so God is implemented in everything the students do. Hope is a classical education school, which just means we're focused on writing, we're focused on recitation, memorization of scripture, Bible stories. But more than that, the students spend time in chapel. They build their own personal relationship with God. A lot of times there's pastors who come in the community to speak to the students about the word from different perspectives, different cultures, different languages. We also have different classroom or events that we do after school, where a lot of the middle schoolers can stay after school and meet with people like Joey, or meet with different people that are evangelist heart minded, like my brother Ruben here. And they're willing to put a fire under them. A lot of times people aren't passionate about the word because they haven't heard somebody really dig inside. And I feel like Hope Academy does a great job of finding people that can really light that fire under students and make them think about the word in a different way.
Yeah, I was traveling over the weekend, and so we had been out at this wedding. And so when I was out talking with some of the other people, I didn't know anyone. I actually just knew the person that got invited to the wedding, and here I am. But I was standing there with a couple in the evening, and I think about this. He was talking about, I really wish I knew Spanish better because he's a police officer. He gets called into domestic disputes. He gets called into these really harmful environments where they may not speak Spanish, but he, in that moment, he's like, wow, I really wish for that. And I said, well, don't worry. God already gave you the gift. He's going to pour this into you because he understands, like, you want to do something else for better. And I asked, do you mind if I just pray over you? And, you know, in that moment, his eyes, and mind you, this guy is big. He's like 6 foot something. And I'm like, here goes my little self standing next to him. But I was like, you know, we laid our hands on him. And, you know, I saw his eyes fill up with tears because, and he said, wow, nobody has ever spoke into me this way. Like, he grew up in that type of environment. And then that just made me realize it's like, wow, what a difference to know that, you know, there's kids going into your school that's what they get poured into.
Right.
They didn't have to wait until they were an adult for somebody else to see that gifting in them.
Right from kindergarten.
Yeah, so I actually used to, before working at Hope Academy, I was working with one of the parents who used to, who has their student enrolled in Hope Academy. And she was telling me how, because of Hope Academy, because of Chapel, because of the people pouring into her, she on her own wanted to work on that relationship with God outside of school. And how she was even, so her mom wasn't Christian and she was pushing her mom towards the faith. And that just really impacted me. And that was before I actually knew about Hope Academy. Yeah.
So what made you decide to switch to like going from working somewhere else to being like, you know what, I'm going to help recruit students to Hope Academy?
Yeah, well, it's just because the reason I switched over is really, so I actually have a construction background and I have a very, I have a connection with the Latino family, the Latino community, a lot of Ecuadorian families, a lot of struggle that I've seen as well. And just for me, before I thought that helping them get more resources or more money, which I think is important too, in the workplace, right? Respect in the workplace as well. But when I had when I finally met God personally, right? When I started working on my relationship with him, I found out that the biggest thing to do for those families is introducing Christ, right? Because me and my brother Josh always talk about if we seek for the kingdom first, everything else will be added on to us, right? Amen. And we've seen that firsthand. So just implementing that into the students and me being able, so we're recruiters, we're in the neighborhoods, we're going into Mercado Central, we're going into all these different streets, we're going into the north side with my brother Josh, and we're not just
oh wow, like this is stuff I didn't know. This is like
yeah, so we're not just recruiting, but when we get the chance to do it, we get to pray for the community, you know? Yeah. So at my church, they always like to teach us that right, we're not going to say, I'm going to pray for you and we're going to pray later, right? It's like, we're going to pray for you. Can we pray for you right now, right? Are you going through something right now? And it's just kind of like spreading that hope, spreading that light when we go into these different communities, right? And when they see somebody that understands those struggles, they get to open so much more. You know, it's not someone from the outside looking in. It's someone from their communities that are going to reach out to them. So that's why, to me, it was like the perfect place to be. I get to help my community and speak about Christ in my community. So, and bring them into the place where I've seen that that's something that they implement in their lives, you know? When I see that Hope Academy is actually working through their lives, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's such an important thing for us to just implement, even if you decide not to become a recruiter for Hope Academy, but also just being able to say, hey, why don't I pray for you? But instead pray for that person right now and watch what happens. One of the easiest ways that you can actually just say, you're like, okay, can I pray for you? I had Pastor Marsha King. She lays her hands on people and the homeless. She walks through the neighborhoods. I mean, but she put it like this. you know what? God highlighted you for me today. What can I pray over for you?
That's major. Wow.
And recognizing that sometimes people just want to be seen. And I know that's a huge thing at your school, is that you can feel the difference when you walk into the school. Kids feel seen. There's, and I want to think about this, is that there's an order to things. As much chaos that comes through with even organizing a Christmas program, every single lineup, you could tell the students had such a respect for their teachers, for the other students, the way that they would follow up and line up in a way that they were so respectful even to the adults that were still rolling in. And that really is telling of, what you guys do in your school at Hope Academy. So, Miss Angela, where can they go if they want to find out more information about Hope Academy?
You can always give us a call at 612-489-5154 or go to hopeacademympls.org.
Hey, it's Dr. Kim Tran. And, if you've been struggling with your kids or grandkids and you can see that they're struggling in school, it might be time to just look for a different type of school. And you're wondering, okay, where can I go that is Christian oriented? And if you're wondering, gosh, you hear the word private school and you're thinking, oh dear, how expensive is this going to be? Right. And, I think about the wonderful thing about Hope Academy, which is located right in Minneapolis. They're about bringing God into your child's education. And, I've seen it firsthand, the difference of what bringing God into their education really happens with their kids. And I was just mentioning how, I went to their Christmas program and watching how respectful the students were to the teachers, the faculty, to the other students, to all of the families coming in. Like, it was just amazing to see. And just the outreach of seeing all of the parents come together and be respectful towards that, which is phenomenal. But, and I think this is why you guys really focus on making sure the family stays involved. You actually have some times that they are required to come into school, correct? And I think that's really important. I know that, as somebody else who knows many of the parents that actually go to the school and have their kids enrolled, they actually have certain days that you guys have, especially on weekends, that all the parents are actually required. So it's not something that you're like, okay, well, it's all just on the parents or all on the teachers. It's something else that's very big overall. Can we kind of address something else that's a big problem with a lot of parents? Is I know that sometimes they're having problems because their kids are getting into drugs a lot earlier. We used to talk about the fact that, oh yeah, all these younger kids, they're not drinking anymore. It's like, no, because they started to learn that drugs were okay because it became legal. So now it's okay if I start smoking up, drinking, all of that. Now, how are you helping to guide the students to not get involved with drugs?
First of all, I think it connects to bullying. I do want to say that first. And the reason I think it connects to bullying is because a lot of kids do drugs because there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of insecurity, and there's a lot of lack of guidance that they experience. And so at Hope Academy, we're discipling students. And the beautiful thing that I love about us as staff is that we disciple each other as well. Iron sharpens iron.
Amen.
Being around Ruben, being around Angela, being around the team, it forces me to dive into the word, and the culture of Hope Academy is the same. So when they're around students who are around teachers that are digging in the word, pushing each other, that same culture is being pushed in the students as well. And so any hard conversation that they may not be able to have with staff, because a lot of things are hidden in the dark, come to the light, they can have with each other, with other students. They can, because the students are learning about the word, they're lining up, how does me doing this action align with the word? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this what I should be doing? And because Hope has a strong Christian culture, students often can correct each other, even when they want to hide from a lot of staff.
Yeah, and by the way, Josh is just saying that from a recruiter standpoint. He actually went to Hope.
Right.
So,
Oh, okay. See, this is what Josh isn't telling us.
I did.
Okay, so when did you start at Hope, though?
Yes, I went to Hope for middle school. So I went to Hope from 6th grade through 8th grade. It was a huge part. Before I came to Hope Academy, I was at a charter school, very strong African American culture at the school. But when I came to Hope Academy, it really shaped my faith. And it shaped my faith not just because of the teachers I was surrounded by, but because of the other young men that were in my class. We would spend the night at each other's houses on Wednesdays to visit each other's Bible studies. And then we would stay up till like 1 to 3 in the morning talking about the word, talking about girls in class too, but talking about
Word.
Right.
but talking about also like
The Proverbs 31.
the Proverbs 31 women, talking about like how the things we experience, how they align. It developed me as a writer. I also do a lot of spoken word. I do a lot of rap as well, but I only developed that way because I was around those young men who were trying to define their faith for themselves in middle school. And I was able to sharpen my iron with other young men that wanted to.
Sure. So what made your parents decide to switch you from a charter school into Hope Academy?
So I grew up, my father was a pastor as well. My dad started a church in our house when I was 6 years old. And so they wanted me to get a cultural background, or my mom wanted me to have a strong cultural foundation. But my dad thought it was also important to have a spiritual foundation. And so they made a promise that I would get my cultural foundation in elementary school, my faith foundation in middle school, and then I would be able to go to a public school having both of those solid.
Yeah. So you're going to be rapping for us today too?
We can.
He is very gifted and talented.
I thought you were like going to come up with like the Hope Academy rap. Like,
Not the Hope Academy, right?
The challenge has been accepted. Just so you know, right? That's okay. I'm going to hold you to that one.
He's very talented. He is very talented.
So you're not prepared for that one today, but maybe,
Don't lie.
Josh is always prepared. Let me just say that. Absolutely.
Did you want to rap for us right now, or would you like to hold that?
I mean, I can do something small if you want. It's up to you. I'm always.
Or if you really want to hear him in person, I heard that as a bonus to when you come and tour the school, that he will go through and make a rap for each one of your kids. Okay.
All right. We'll start working on that.
Right. Okay. Maybe not, but you never know. If God so moves you, right?
Amen.
Yes. So I know what we talk about this is, I think parents hear the word private school and they're like, oh, no way. I can't afford that, because they know, there's obviously some more expensive private schools in the area. Now, how do you help parents be able to afford that with?
The great thing is right now we're so delighted to have what we call the Hope Academy Amazing Promotion. And that is that for our kindergarten as well all the way through 6th grade, we are offering new families that come into Hope Academy and are accepted, their first semester, which is the half a year, would be free.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
So we are very excited to have this promotion. So again, that is for all new families coming to Hope Academy, and your child or children are accepted. The tuition is free for the first semester.
And I also know that you do things on a sliding scale for people as well, too, based off of their income.
Yep. Based upon their income, and they will, all families will sit with our finance team and speak with them. And they go through your information, and you come to a mutual agreement of something that is definitely what we call affordable.
Absolutely. Which is great, just because I think sometimes when we come from, very limited funds in our own background, we think that we can't afford things, or we think that we don't have access to those things as well. Now, what about for, our listeners that hear, you know what, I don't have any kids, but I love what you guys do. Do you also have a fund that they can donate into that will help future students?
Well, we do, again, with the tuition, we do something called the 90-10% rule, where 90% of our tuition for families is covered by partners.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Those partners are not these super rich individuals. Sometimes these are just families just like you that are listening that want to just help out cover tuition for a student. And so if parents or if people are out there and you want to help, you're always welcome. We also do a partner program where our partners get to spend time with the students they sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
get to know them, get to disciple them. And it's a great opportunity to get more involved with Hope Academy on a personal level if you don't have a student.
Yeah. Now, can they find out more about that online, or do they need to contact you guys directly?
Yeah, they can go to Hope Academy mpls.org, and there's a give button right there, and they can check everything out.
Oh, perfect. So they can actually just donate online.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, that is wonderful. Now, I know that you talk a lot about addressing the root problem with kids.
Yeah.
And I find that such a huge thing because many times we go through, and as a lot of other schools, you see, okay, this is who they are. They're just that troubled student.
Mhm.
So forget it. We'll just either just keep passing them along. What's the difference when it comes to Hope Academy?
Well, hopefully we're talking about what I call the 8 pillars of trust. And so just being able to identify and just help a scholar understand what trust is all about, talking about, again, the clarity, the compassion, the character of the student, the competency, and we talk about the being committed and the connection. So again, just talking about that trust and everything else, and what does that take? What does it mean? And just helping and guiding them on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful. I think being able to have that.
I would say also that it's a chip away process. I think of oftentimes our students do a lot of sculpting, and we talk about God shaping us like clay. I think when we're outside of or in the world, we can get hardened. And so when we come into Hope, it's a chipping away process that happens. Before you can really get to the heart of somebody, you have to get to know the environment they grew up in. You have to get to know the parent, and you're kind of sprinkling. There's this guy named Jesus. I would love for you to hear about. And at first they're like, nah. And as you keep chipping away, you eventually get there.
Yeah. And Jesus is right there. And you can find out more at hopeacademympls.org. Hey, it's Dr. Kim Tran. And, we're back talking about how do we minister and evangelize our own community. And that really starts with students. We're not just talking about just waiting until junior high school, but what about if you could start right in kindergarten? And I know that is a big value for you guys at Hope Academy, is that you actually start young. You actually start them from all the way from kindergarten all through 12th grade.
Even beyond kindergarten, we start with our acorns. I think our goal is to have people grow into big trees. Trees provide oxygen for the environment, and God provides oxygen for our spirits. And so we start with acorns, kids that are 5 years old, getting them to dig into that word so that when they get to the end of high school, they're beginning to sprout into trees that provide and create fruits that help our communities be healthier and stronger.
So you talk about your kindergartners being acorns?
We do.
Just in case everyone was like, did we go from kindergartners to acorns? No, we're talking about tree. But I mean, that's important, right? We want to develop our roots in God,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Which is huge. And, the beauty about your school too is it's also bilingual.
Yes, it is. It is also bilingual. A lot of Hispanic and Latino students, and there's a lot of languages that are spoken in the hallways. Some of which I don't know. I only know Spanish and English.
We got to pray over the gift of tongues for you too, okay?
Yeah, we got to.
Angela, go, Russian.
Yeah.
That's serious. Right. I believe we said we have over 30 languages spoken in our school.
That's amazing.
It's very diverse, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that's important when people are looking at a school, it's a diverse community. They're going to be learning Spanish, they're learning English, they're learning to have a respect for everyone, right?
Yeah, and I think that's something beautiful too. Right now, knowing Spanish is one of the handiest tools a person can have. I also used to be a community interpreter, walking into a medical office, walking into schools, a classroom. So having our students here also interact with all the Latinos and Hispanics, learning Spanish, learning how to get along, learning about each other's culture has been really fun. And even in a staff level too, just connecting with Josh and the different people in the office. It's really awesome to have all those cultures in one spot. Yeah.
Well, and for a lot of the parents, I know transportation is always a question because they know in the public system, they have the school bus. Like, what do you guys provide for transportation for families?
We offer free busing for all families in Minneapolis.
Yes.
So all families, if your address says Minneapolis, there is busing for you. Outside of that, we know that we're in a fragile time with what's been going on with ICE. So actually a lot of our family ministry has picked families up outside of Minneapolis. Teachers are picking families up. So we're a community. It's not just about families dropping their kids off at Hope. We're really here to support each other, and it's been beautiful to see.
No, that's a big thing. Now, for any family that's out there that's looking to say, you know what, I kind of like what I hear. How can I find out some more? Or do you guys have something coming up that they can come and tour, get to know the school?
Oh, well, we're doing tours all day, every day. So if you want to do a tour, we would love to have you come to the school. You go to hopeacademympls.org, go to the admissions tab, and you can schedule a tour. Big event that we have coming up is on April 15th. For our middle schoolers, we have a middle school shadow day where your students will actually get to experience middle school. They'll get to experience chapel. They'll get to meet some of the teachers as well. And it's a beautiful opportunity for them to see that. April 16th, for those of you who want to learn more about the partner side of Hope Academy, we have something called Pastors and Partners, where we bring in community members, pastors, to sit at the table and talk about what are the needs of our community. And then April 17th is our open house for all families who are looking to see the school, meet the staff, and make sure it's a good fit for the families.
All right. So April 15th through the 17th.
April 15th through the 17th.
Coming on off, right?
But I do want to add, of course, that every Thursday, right? Every Thursday at 11:30 and every Friday at 2:30, we do have on-site, we have tours of our campus. So feel free to, again, go to the website and register for the touring. Now, I think also, too, on Tuesdays, right?
Wednesdays at 5:30.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wednesdays at 5:30.
Yeah, we always try to have a flexible schedules for the families who might need to come earlier, might need to come a little bit later. For Spanish-speaking families, all those events are for them, too. And they'll be speaking with Josh or myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? What else would you guys want to share that makes your school so special?
Hope Academy. What can I say? Again, I do want to state this is that, of course, our mission is to foster hope in God in Minneapolis by providing youth with a remarkable education at Hope Academy. It's Christ-centered education. It's something that you're going to get no other place. And because we see that the mark of God in each child, in each teacher, and in each parent, again, you're not going to expect anything but remarkable. It's an excellence. You got to come to Hope Academy.
Now, obviously there's some kids that have come in. Do you mind sharing some stories about like maybe a kid that was struggling in like a different situation? I mean, I know of like some of the kids that have already come in that were struggling with bullying, but what about you knew that they were heading the wrong direction and the parents, or perhaps it was you both going out into the community that ended up encouraging that student to come to Hope?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's one that comes to mind. I mean, sometimes we think that all the problems are when they are outside of Hope. Sometimes they still have those problems when they're inside of Hope. There was a student who was just going down the wrong path. He had the wrong group of friends outside of Hope, was kind of impacting him and impacting other kids inside of Hope Academy. And it was getting to the point where Hope was getting ready to ask this student to leave. But if it weren't for the mentorship, that one of the relationship between the staff and that student probably would be on a totally different path. I was best friends with one of the student's brothers, and his brother actually ended up in jail later on in life. But this student turned his life around, ended up graduating from Hope, and is actually a student that ended up starting his own barbershop business. Really made a full turnaround from where he was in 9th grade to where he ended up as a business owner and entrepreneur by the time he was a senior. And it's because of the mentorship and the people at Hope that were surrounded by him that kept him on a certain path.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things I really want to highlight over is that you're not a school that's just going to let kids pass through. And I was so heartbroken. I had a family that originally came in, and, you know, you could tell that they had some generational stuff that kept getting pushed through, right? And so I saw this child originally when he was 5, and I saw the attitude that he was coming from, the hard stuff, the disrespect for people, even for myself as his doctor, starting at 5, right? Because he recognized what his mom did. And so then I saw him 5 years later, and I looked at his paperwork, and I was heartbroken to see that the school had allowed him to keep passing through when he had the handwriting of what I would consider under a 5-year-old. He couldn't actually spell. Even just writing his name, his handwriting was so behind. And I know that that's not something that happens at your school. It's not something that you guys tolerate, just being able to push somebody through.
Oh, no, not at all. And we're also not afraid to tell students that they need to stay in the grade that they're in if they're not ready to move forward. There's a lot of times where we get kindergarten families that their child, they want to put them in kindergarten, but they're just not ready. And that's where our ACORN program comes in, where if students aren't ready for kindergarten, they get put in ACORNs because by next year, they'll be ready for kindergarten.
We definitely don't want them to be struggling in kindergarten. So that ACORNs program is available and highly recommended for those that perhaps have a late birthday, like, late August or what have you, or just needs additional time for social, emotional support and improvements and stuff. And so we see that, we highly recommend.
I would also say real quick that our goal at Hope Academy is from kindergarten through 2nd grade, they're learning how to read. 3rd through 5th grade, they're reading to learn. And so that already is the shift that happens that early.
Yeah. And you can definitely tell the difference when you value God and you value Jesus and you put that into your kids, that is going to change their outcome, not only physically, mentally, emotionally, but also spiritually. And if you're looking for more information, you can go to hopeacademympls.org.
Thanks for listening to the Align and Abide podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.